Watching the third lesson on percentages. In this lesson, we'll be reviewing conversions between percentages and decimals into percents, and so on. And we'll be just doing some practice problems with that. So, this review will be talking about how to convert, again, decimals into percents into decimals, right? Back and forth. We're also going to be talking about how turning fractions into percents and percents into fractions. So, you should know how to do this. So as a review, how do we convert percents into decimals? Well, you should know that when you take a percent, you can put the decimal there and move it 2 spots to turn it into a decimal number, right? 46, right? But the decimal is now here because we moved it 2 spots. So we have 0.46. So I've converted the percent into the decimal. And the reason why this works is I take the number 46, right? I take the number 46 and I divide it by 100. And when I divide it by 100, you just move the decimal over 2 spots to give me 0.46. And that's how it works. When you divide a number by 100, you just take the decimal and move it to the left 2 spots. So how do we convert a decimal into fractions? How do we turn the decimal all the way to the other side? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about, and we're going to be reviewing each of these steps because your percentages is your nice middleman, the one that's going to help you turn one into the other, right? It's going to help you turn one into the other. So, how do we turn percents into fractions? How do we turn a fraction into a percent, right? How do we do that? Okay, well, you should know that when you turn a percent into a fraction, it's the same, right, as saying a fraction out of 100 because percentages are always out of 100. Percentages, 45%, is the same as saying 45 out of 100. And you did it. You did it as a fraction, but you're not done. Remember, you have one extra step you need to do, which is simplify. So how do we turn a percent into a fraction? Well, you know a percent is always out of 100. So 45% is 45 out of 100. And then you just simplify it, right? You just simplify that. So you can divide both by 5. And we already know that that's 9, but I'm going to show you that right now. Oops, sorry. 45 divided by 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So I just do that, right? So it's 9. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. So I divide that by 5, which would be 20. Now I have 9 over 20. Can I simplify it further? No, I can't, right? So I'm done. And that's the simplify. So I can say 45%, because it's the same as 45 over 100, and 9 over 20 is the same, 45% is the same as saying 9 over 20. Right, is the same as saying 9 over 20. So that's how you convert a percent into a fraction. You turn it into a fraction out of 100 and you just simplify. That's it. Well, a fraction into a percent is a bit trickier. How do we do that? Well, you need to do that fish trick I showed you. So let's say we had the fraction 3 over 8. Well, the first step is to convert the fraction into a percent. Right? So how do I turn fractions into a percent? And in this case, we're going to turn it into a decimal. One more step further, but 3 over 8 into a fraction. So how do I turn that into a percent? Well, I know 3 out of 8. That's what the question gives me. And I'm turning it into a percent. Well, if I'm turning it into a percent is always out of 100. So 3 out of 8 must equal something out of 100. This something up here will give me that percentage. So I go 3, so I start on the opposite side, 3 times 100 divided by 8 gives me the answer, right? Multiply, then divide gives me the answer. So 3 out of 8 into a decimal, we're turning this into a percent first. So I go 3 times 100, which is 300, right? Then I divide that 300 by 8, which gives me 37.5, which is our answer up here. So we know that this should be 37.5 out of 100. Sorry, that's a terrible fraction. So That's the same as saying 37.5% because it's out of 100. So now we've converted our fraction. We've now converted our fraction into a percent. Well, once we do that, we're just converting this fraction into this percent. We're now just doing what we've done before, right? Percent into decimal. Well, just like before, you just need to take the decimal and move it 2 spots. So the decimal form would be 0.375, right? You move the decimals 2 spots to the right. Right? So this is just working its way back, and you can review this part as well. We're converting, right, this fraction, this decimal into a percent, right, by moving it the other way, by going boom, boom, there's a percent. Well, we know all percents are out of 100, right? All percents out of 100, so you can just turn it over 100, but we're not done because you need to simplify. And so when you simplify, you can divide this, both top and bottom, by 5. So divide by 5, which give me 20. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side, right, to give me 7 over 20. So you could say that 0.35 is the same as 7 over 20. I'm trying to go fast just because this is the same stuff we've done over and over again. I'm just reviewing it so that we can hammer this home, because this thing here, fraction, percent, decimal, and back and forth, is a useful tool to just convert numbers back and forth. So practice these questions, turn the decimal into a percent, and turn the fractions into decimals by using the method I showed you. This one will be, some of you may be able to just do it in your head, but I want you to show me these steps. And then work on these questions, which will review this material. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next lesson.